Hello and welcome to the San Jose State Weekly Football Press Conference. Today is Monday, October 8th. A special week in Spartan athletics as San Jose State football will play a home game, but away from CEFCU Stadium in the home of the 49ers, Levi Stadium, this weekend on Saturday, October 13th. A 12:30 kickoff from Levi Stadium against the Army Black Knights. ESPNU will have the coverage. You can also get it on the Watch ESPN app, 1590 AM KLIV and the Spartan Radio Network. Our coverage will begin at noon Pacific time from Levi's Stadium. Let's welcome in San Jose State head coach Brent Brennan.
Whoa. Excuse me. I think some of our big guys have been sitting in that one. It was going to fall behind the table. All right. Hello, everybody. Congratulations, Colorado State, Coach Bobo and their staff. They came out here and beat us. It's a hard way to lose a game. You know, I was really proud of our football team, the way they responded to a really tough first half. You know, that third quarter was without question the most exciting quarter of football I've ever been in. I think the disappointing thing is that with all that momentum, we couldn't finish it, and so we still got a ways to go as a football program. Got back to work yesterday and getting ready to play Army this week. This Army team is very, very good. You know, you see, you know, the challenges they give everybody that they play. You know, what they did on the road against Oklahoma was fantastic. You know, they come at you in all kinds of different ways. Obviously, their scheme on offense is what everybody focuses on. Incredible running the football. Incredible at stealing possessions or, you know, making it hard for you to get your hands on the football. And then defensively, they're incredibly active. You know, they've got a very mature football team. Obviously, we have tremendous respect for the Army program and for the choice those kids have made. And so we know that it's going to be a hard battle. We're excited for the opportunity to play at Levi Stadium. I think that's going to be an incredible opportunity for our team and for our fans to play in that kind of venue. So there's a lot going on, but we're excited to get back to work, excited to keep building this program and keep finding ways to improve. But like I said, I was very proud of the team's effort. We got to find a way to finish a game. We got to find a way to make the plays late in the game that you need to make to win. And so we're hard back at work, building a plan for that. And what do we got?
All right, Coach. When a team has success like yours in the third quarter against Colorado State, how does your team sustain that level of successfulness for the remainder of the game?
Well, you know, I think the biggest point there that we needed to do is after the safety, you know, we got the ball and we had really good field position, and that's a moment where we need to execute. We need to find a way to get a first down to kind of burn some clock and kind of continue that momentum. And it comes down to a combination of, you know, make sure we're putting our kids in the right situation to make those plays, and then when the play's called, we got to execute at a high level.
Coach, it appears that the Spartans don't really have a strategy to close out football games. Has the coaching staff found a way to ensure the team won't allow the next opponent to retake the lead and eventually win the game?
But, you know, the goal is always to win the game. And so I think, you know, the hard part of closing out a game, I think everyone we play is good. And, you know, it's hard to beat anybody. And so it comes down to, you know, being focused in that moment, being locked in, and finding a way to either get a stop or to move the football and finish it. You know, we had multiple chances in the last two games to do that. So obviously that's something we're talking about a lot.
Coach, I'm wondering what the locker room was like at halftime. You know, you guys came out firing, the most aggressive I've seen you guys play in that third quarter. I'm wondering what you said to the players to get them all fired up for that.
Well, there was a couple people that spoke in the locker room at halftime. I just happened to be one of them. My biggest point was that, this team really cares about each other. And we talk about that a lot, our football family. We talk about, loving each other and playing for one another. And my point was that it didn't look like a team, the way we played in the first half, it didn't look like a team that was truly playing for each other. But Bryson Bridges spoke to the whole team. The coordinators and position coaches spoke to each side of the ball, and then I finished it with that. That was my thing. And I thought the biggest part, the second half is we got really good kickoff coverage to start it, and then our defense got to stop 3 and out, and then we were able to score, and so we started to get some of that momentum. I thought our sideline was great. I thought our players are doing a great job of staying engaged and creating some energy for our football team on the sideline. And so it was pretty fun.
Coach, now Sal from the Times Herald Record is on the line. Sal, one question for Coach.
Yes, Coach, how much time do you put into preseason with defending the Army's option offense?
We put time into it, spring practice and fall camp. So I can't tell you an exact minute of that, but it's part of it. Because every year, whether we're playing in the Mountain West or a year ago we played Cal Poly, we always have to play an option team. So this year with Army is no different. I just think they're exceptional at it. They have their quarterback is a fantastic player. Their fullbacks, any of them, are really good. Obviously Wolf Folk is fantastic, but any one of those guys is really, really good. And then they got the receivers that are making plays downfield. They seem to have upgraded their skill, and those guys are making plays for their quarterback. So, it's definitely a challenge when you face a scheme like this that is kind of so different than what you see week in and week out.
Coach, with the recent death of Clemson's running back C.J. Fuller, what do you feel is kind of like? Do you feel that the issue brings more of a light to the ongoing debate around concussions resulting in player and coach deaths later on, as to with Junior Seau and C.J. Fuller? Do you feel that the sport is in a way kind of posing a threat to or at least causing bigger health issues later on in life?
Could you say that again? There was a whole lot in there. Sorry.
Yeah, the
recent death of C.J.
Fuller, the running back. Do you feel that the sport has, in a way, or as the NCAA, do you feel that these deaths are happening more frequently? And if so, do you feel that the sport is responsible in any way?
Do I feel like the sport is responsible for C.J. Fuller's death? Is that what we're kind of? I don't know much about that situation. In terms of how concussions are a big part of our sport, I think there's not any other sport in the country that has made more of an effort to be aware, to be preventative. There's been rule changes and all kinds of legislation that way in our game to help prevent concussions and help to raise awareness to that issue. I think one of the challenges is that you don't have, because of the profile of football and the NFL and all that stuff, I think if you play competitive sport of any nature, concussions are part of it. We just don't have the data on lacrosse or soccer or, golf or whatever it is. But
Coach, Army is obviously going to run the football. Would you say that stopping them is more a matter of effort and heart and pride rather than scheming and matchups?
Well, it's got to be a combination of both. I think you have to be incredibly disciplined with your scheme, and then you have to play your tails off. Now I wouldn't say that's any different than every week. I mean, you got to be sound and you got to play really hard. I think, just with what they do with their movement and their motions and, their ability to run the football, combined with, this kind of added element of being able to throw it quite well. You have to be really disciplined with your eyes.
The Spartans' on-the-field confidence looks like it has increased in the past 2 games. How could the team continue to ride high on its momentum coming into Saturday's game versus Army. Army most recently blew out Buffalo 42-13.
Yeah, like I said, Army's got a really good football team. I think everybody knows that. I think they have the total respect of everybody in the country. For us to kind of continue to build some momentum, continue to develop, as a football team, the biggest, most important thing to me is how we practice tomorrow. That's the next chance for our players to get coached up and to watch film and to kind of start to get the game plan down and get some comfort with what we're doing. And so tomorrow's a really important day, and the best way for us to kind of build on any more momentum is to continue to practice our tails off and continue to put in the work that's necessary to win.
Obviously, this week's going to be a little different playing in Levi's. I'm wondering if you prepare your players any differently to play in an NFL environment. I'm sure they're really excited for it and stuff. So do you change anything with your weekly process?
We will not, and because to me it's not that much different from going to play at Autzen Stadium, University of Oregon. Actually, there were a lot more fans at Autzen Stadium than there will be in Levi. So there's nothing different. Anytime we play in one of those venues, I remind the players that the field is 100 yards long and 53 1/3 yards wide. It's 2 end zones, 2 goal posts, hash marks and numbers. The field doesn't change.
Hello, Coach.
Hi.
I know your number 8 player, Boogie Roberts, was awarded this past week. What can you tell me about him? 3 qualities that distinguish him from the rest of his teammates.
3 qualities that distinguish Boogie from the rest of his teammates. I wouldn't say he's the only guy with some of this stuff, but he's a very great personality. Like, he's this big dude that everyone likes, and he can talk, and he's comfortable with who he is, and he's always kind of got a smile. Some of the stuff that I like the best about Boogie is that he's a really hardworking student. He takes academic life really serious. He graduated last spring, and so that's really a neat thing to see with him. And then the other thing is that he wants to be part of the working media, so he wants to be a TV personality at some point, which I think is interesting. I think maybe he should do this press conference next week and see if he can't give you guys some stuff to talk about. But he's a great young man. He's really worked hard. It's awesome. He's just recently voted a team captain by the team, which I think is a big move for him, and a tremendous honor and something that he takes serious. So there's a lot of great stuff with that young man. Yeah, that's right. Hot yoga. He's a big hot yoga guy. Yeah, that's another thing.
Coach, we're going to go back to the phones again. Sal, another question for Coach?
Sure, Coach. When you look at the tape on Army's defense, is there anything that jumps out of what they're doing? Because they've been able to hold some high-scoring teams way below their average so far this year.
Yeah, I think first of all they have a really mature group, right? I think there's maybe one sophomore. Everyone else is a senior or a junior, so they've played a lot of football. They've been in a lot of situations. They're comfortable that way. They're extremely active. They play very, very hard. I think 23, Riley, is a fantastic player. Corner, he plays in the boundary. He's really strong. He moves well. He gives everybody fits that plays against him. Doesn't matter if it's Buffalo or Oklahoma. I think their secondary is very, very good. But they get great push up front. Both linebackers are really active. They've done a really good job of building that program. They got great personnel that fits their scheme, and I think also that's also combined with the fact that I think they're holding all of their opponents to less than 50 offensive plays per game. So when they're able to do that, I know they did that with 3 of the 4. I think Buffalo might have had more than that, but I think that the combination of their ball control offense and the success in that and kind of the detail with which they run that, and then on top of an extremely active defense that plays a lot of plays with great effort and is extremely sound, I think that's why you see those scores being low.
Coach, with Army's history and their mystique, playing at Levi Stadium and everything else that's going on, do you still expect this game this weekend to feel like a home game?
That'll be interesting. You know, it's definitely it'll feel home because we'll sleep in our beds the night before, and we'll have a normal kind of process and procedure that we would have for a home game. You know, we'll have our team meal here where we do every week when we play at home. So I think that will feel part of it. Obviously, the venue will feel different, but I do think the fact that because it's in town and we should have a lot of alums there excited about seeing us playing Levi. We should have a lot of family of our players and that kind of stuff because it is a home game. So in that regard, it should feel like a home game.
Coach, I think college football is kind of unique in that the schemes you face are super varied week to week. Like you just played Hawaii with the air raid. Colorado State had a good passing attack. Now you're facing the triple option. How do you change it up every week and stay focused on stopping the changing offenses you see every week?
No, that's a really good question. I think that's kind of the unique thing. Really, one of the really fun things about college football is that week in and week out, you really have to defend a lot of different stuff. You know, I think oftentimes you watch an NFL game and the scheme on the offensive side of the ball looks similar. Now, they're not all the same, and everyone has their own, kind of intricacies. But, college football, you have to be ready to defend a lot of stuff. And the way that we choose to look at it, I think most people look at it, is it's really a 1 week season, right? All that matters is that week. And so getting the players to kind of forget about what happened the week before, especially a week like this, and kind of focus in on the details. And, I'm hopeful that some of the practice we did on the Army scheme in the spring and in the summertime during training camp will have a little bit of carryover as we get into practice tomorrow and we get to our install. But I'll let you know in 24 hours.
Coach, there's a chance there will be an increase in fans and viewers for Saturday's game at Levi Stadium. Do you think the extra crowd noise will be a positive factor for the Spartans?
Absolutely. I mean, anytime we can get more of our fans and students and alums out for a football game, I don't care where it's at. We could play in that parking lot. If they'll show up, they will add energy to our process. They will definitely, we didn't have as many people here this last weekend as we did the weekend before for the Hawaii game, but it's definitely something our players talked about. It's something we talked about as a staff. The energy in that stadium was amazing. And so anytime we can get more fans to a game, it's a win-win for everybody. I think the fans have a better experience, and I know it gives us more energy and it creates more of a hard environment for our opponents to play in.
Coach, again, back to the phone. Sal, another question for Coach?
Yeah, Coach, there's been a change in the way cut blocking is being officiated this year, and that is part of the way Army has blocked in the past. Do you have an opinion on the new rule change and what it's doing for college football, especially the option teams like Army?
Yeah, I definitely think it makes it harder, although it doesn't seem like Army's really feeling any ill effects from it. They seem to be still churning up all kinds of yardage and moving the football without any issue. The only thing I think that's interesting about that rule is I think it's hard to officiate because the game happens so fast. And, was he at 5 yards or was he at 4? Was he at 3.5? Was he at 6? I think that's hard to see and hard to officiate.
Going back to last week's game a little bit, what encouraged you about the game?
Against Colorado State? Oh, to me, we're down 28 at halftime, and we come in the locker room, and we've been down before, and, I think the team showed how they feel about each other. I really believe that. That was an amazing third quarter. I don't care if you are a San Jose State fan or a Colorado State fan or whatever. That was an incredible quarter of football. And I'm frustrated like everybody else that we didn't finish it. But to see our team respond like that in that moment when it looked so bad, that's what I'm excited about. Because they had incredible energy coming out of there. And they did everything they said. We all said we were going to do in that second half, right? We were going to cover the heck out of the opening kickoff. We were going to go 3 and out. We were going to score. And those things happen in succession, right? And so, football is such a game of momentum. And if you can, I think you say that a lot. You go down into a game and you're down and you're like, hey, we're down 4 touchdowns, right? They're just play one play at a time, right? Well, this team did that and came storming back. And the other thing that's interesting, right, is that the score was still 28-7 with 5:38 to go in the third, right? So we scored 23 unanswered in the last 5 minutes of the quarter, which was just really exciting to see. And I give the players credit for that, right? They made the plays, they made the tackles, they made the stops, they made the throws, and it was awesome to see.
Coach, getting back to the phone. Sal, another question for Coach?
Yeah, just one more, Coach, on Josh Oliver. Do you think that he's been getting? Are you using him effectively enough this season, or do you feel like there's more opportunities out there for him?
I think Josh Oliver is an awesome player, and if we can throw it to him every time, we should consider it. But I think he's doing a great job. I think there's always opportunities for him to make plays in games. We got to be smart about how we get him the ball, or kind of what matchups we can create with him. But he's the hardest working player on our team, and I think kind of all the notoriety and all the excitement about Josh is well deserved. Thank you all.
All right, that does it for this week's press conference. Once again, San Jose State's at home, but at a different site, Levi Stadium this Saturday against the Army Black Knights. 12:30 kickoff from Levi Stadium. We'd love to see you out there, 408-924-7589 or sjsuspartans.com to get all the details and ticket information about this coming game. Our coverage on 1590 AM KLIV and the Spartan Radio Network starts at noon Pacific time. That does it for us this week. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.